Shayna's been on the front for the last few laps, driving the race. Let's see if she's still there. There they go.
Points in $100 cash from Bicycles of Tulsa.
So we're sitting here with Shayna Powless, originally from California, but based in Jacksonville, Florida, races for Legion. And we're here at Tulsa Tough, getting ready to do 3 days of crit racing, right?
Yeah, I'm so stoked. Like, this is my favorite crit weekend on the calendar, so I'm just so excited to be here for my second time.
All right, Shayna Powless, what are you riding? What is up with this bike? Walk me through it.
So this is the Specialized S-Works Tarmac SL7, and we've got some Zip 404 Firecrests on, and tubeless front and back.
What are your thoughts on that? Did you, because you came up riding clinchers, I'm assuming like everybody else.
Yeah.
And this is like a new thing.
Yeah, it's great because back home, I mean, the roads can be pretty rough, and I've definitely had a few punctures this year, and I mean, it's been super nice, you know, and convenient having tubeless. I feel like, I don't think I've had to throw a tube in yet this year. So I got the SRAM 2x in the front. It's a 50 by 37 and 12 by in the back. So
will you run that for, this is like a criterium specific front training, will you change that if you're doing like more of like a road race? Or is this kind of your standard gearing ratio?
This is pretty much what I have for every race this year. I'll probably keep it for each race here on out. I feel pretty comfortable with it. My first race was when I was 4 years old. It was a mountain bike race out in Florida somewhere. I was born in Florida, spent the first few years of my life in Florida, so that's really where it all started for me. Both my parents were into cycling. My dad was an Ironman triathlete. My mom was a triathlete and a runner. Yeah. So that's why I got into both cycling, triathlons, and running at such a young age.
So you got 4 weeks of racing in a row this month, and then you mentioned like half a dozen other races coming up. You're basically full-time doing this, but you also do a ton of other stuff. You do outride, you have a foundation. Can you kind of tell me about this, the other stuff that you do besides just racing?
Yeah, so I'm actually an outride ambassador. I've been an ambassador since the beginning of last year. So this is my second year with them. And, you know, I just really like love everything that they're doing, you know, giving back to the community, getting bikes out to kids, just inspiring more kids to get on bikes. I just feel like it really aligns with like my personal morals and, you know, my personal goals in life, just to inspire that next generation to come up and, you know, hopefully one day race bikes. And then I also have a foundation called the Dreamcatcher Foundation. So that's a nonprofit I started with my fiance Ilianku, who's a professional football player.
Who does he play for?
He plays for the Bills.
Rad.
In Buffalo.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so with him being, he's Native American and also a professional athlete, and then with myself being Native American, I'm a part of the Oneida Nation. We both just felt such a strong inclination to give back to Native communities in any way possible. And so we both just felt like the best way to do that was by starting this foundation. And basically what we do is we empower Native youth through sports such as football and cycling. Right. We hosted a football camp up in Ely's hometown of Ottawa a few years ago and had a huge turnout. 150 kids showed up. Excellent. It was totally free for the kids to do. Just one day football camp, so it was super successful, and we hope to host our next camp within the next couple of years. Honestly, it's been hard with COVID, but hopefully we'll get to host another one either next year or the year after. But we also raise money for bikes for the kids on a few different reservations. So excellent. One being the Seneca Nation up in New York, and then hopefully our next one will be the Oneida Nation in Wisconsin, which is where I have family. Excellent. And we actually hosted our first bike rodeo event at the Seneca Nation a couple weeks ago.
What is a bike rodeo? What is that?
Bike rodeo, so like it was kind of just like a little like group ride that we put together with like a course in like the parking lot at their community center. And then so we hosted the group ride, and then we had like a Q&A, little like discussion about bike safety. We distributed a bunch of bikes and helmets for the kids. Because that's huge, providing the equipment so that people can continue to do it after you leave. Exactly, yeah. So it was a huge success. We had maybe 60 kids show up. Went to a couple different reservations. 60 kids from each reservation participated, so it was a huge success, and hopefully we get to do that again at some point. Yeah, it sounds like you're just opening a lot of doors, because I mean really that's what it is providing a different context and a different opportunity for people that may not have that, to show them that like there's a lot of other stuff happening, and there's a lot of avenues to go from there. Exactly, yeah. So you'll actually be eating before the race because it's so short. Do you eat during the race? I'll have like a gel before, like 10-15 minutes before, and then maybe a gel like near the end.
like a few minutes to go or so.
Wasn't that gnarly to take your hands off and like try and eat a gel in the middle of the pack?
It can be, but I feel like I've done it so many times at this point, I'm just used to it.
All right, 8 to go, Women's Pro Friday night. Shayna's been on the front for the last 3 laps, driving the race. Let's see if she'll still there. There they go.
Points in $100 cash for bicycles of Tulsa.
Yeah, so I was basically just trying to cover as many moves as possible. You know, just being there at the front for as long as possible and covering everything. And then near the end, my goal was just to be there at the front with the rest of the team and give a good lead out with the other girls. So yeah, I think it was like with going into lap 1 or with 1 to go, I think that's when I peeled off, and then I let the other girls take over from there, and my job was done. So
yeah, but you had literally been on the front. You were like almost every lap you were the one on the front driving. So it's like you kind of pushed the whole pace of the race, took it to the last lap, and then it was like, okay, it's all you.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, that was basically like my job, was just to be there and, you know, keep the pace up, you know, with like 10 laps to go, and keep rotating with the other girls, and then yeah, just give a good lead out at the end and peel off, and I was done. So I'm glad we got the win.
I can't wait to watch the rest of the weekend. Way to go.
Thank you.